Hey, what's up, everyone? Talking video games this time. Reaction. What ruling means for NCAA football video game. And this is from 24/7 Sports. Now, I last played this game on the PS3. It's been several years since I played. I know I game a little bit, a little tiny bit. I'm not like the individuals who take it to the extremes and compete. No way. No way am I that good. No way would I ever think I could compete with those individuals who play it consistently or do it for a living. But NCAA 14 is a game that I still have. I still play it. I haven't played it for several years. Maybe I'll get back to it at some point. Did we move one step closer to the return of EA Sports NCAA football video game on Wednesday, with the Board of Governors' move to support student-athlete compensation? In a sense, yes. It's a necessary step in the right direction for those hoping to see the widely popular midsummer precursor to college football season back on the shelves in the future. But in an interview with the Sporting News, Jim Cavall, and hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, the CEO of some acronym, a company founded to aid athletes in finding brand partnerships, said there's verbiage in the NCAA's revisions that should prevent excitement for virtual college football coming back at this time. Right now, group licensing is not part of the plan, Cavall told Sporting News. That would prevent the video game concept from coming back. Lawsuits over athlete likeness, including the landmark proceedings of Ed O'Bannon, ended the game's circulation with the 2014 version, leading to widespread disappointment from gamers and sports fans across the country. The courts ruled EA Sports had used athlete likeness without permission or compensation, and the video game company eventually paid out $60 million in settlements to athletes who appeared in its games between 2003 to 2014, according to CBS Sports. Here's some of the widespread reaction following the NCAA's decision to consider student-athlete profiting. I hate to rain on everyone's parade, but those thinking college football is coming back to EA Sports are sadly mistaken. It's not. If they have to pay college athletes, it's not a moneymaker. Wish I was wrong. And that's from Danny Cannell. Depending on how much money EA Sports would be regulated to shell out for athletes and their likeness, NCAA football could still be worth making from a profitability standpoint. And that's obviously what it's all about, dollars and cents, right? Years before the game's expected release, sell pre-orders and see what that equates to within the video game market. We'd likely all be pleasantly surprised at how hungry sports fans are for this game after what will be a 7-year hiatus in 2021. Big East Commissioner Val Ackerman, co-chair of NCAA's Working Group for Name, Image, and Likeness, said the working group determined that group licenses for video games are unworkable in college sports. Bad news if you're hoping for the return of the NCAA football video game. And I get where he's coming from. I mean, you think about a Division I college, for instance. I believe they have 85 scholarships. Am I right about that? Hopefully I'm right on that number, but you may even have as little as maybe 60 guys or 70 guys on a roster per team, times 100 in how many ever teams they plan to put in the game that compete at the highest level in Division I. What is it, 117, I think it was when I was playing the game back in 2014. There's probably several more by now, or maybe that's a more recent number, but still, what if you had to pay? Profitability is what it's all about, and I don't see a situation where you can pay the third string long snapper $1,000, right? So economically, I get where they're coming from. It's just not feasible. Some teams would generate more. You're going to pay more money to have Alabama's image and likeness and players in the game. Ohio State, Florida, Oklahoma, USC, Oregon, Michigan, you name it. You're going to have to pay more to have those teams in the game than you would to have some team like Kansas. There's really no comparison between the money that you'd have to pay in Alabama versus what you'd have to pay a team like Kansas. Sorry, Kansas. With the NCAA expected to allow college athletes to profit off their names, images, and likeness, NIL, in 2021, Ackerman's comments are obviously disappointing. However, for the NCAA to bend as much as it has for this likeness ruling, couldn't the Board of Governors, conference commissioners, and decision makers in college sports take the next step? Here are some details you might not get in the NCAA NIL headline. The recommendations include stuff like staying consistent with legal language that says every penny of NIL, untethered from education, ends the whole amateur sham. Compare with the Ed O'Bannon decisions language. Former shoe company executive Sonny Vaccaro has waited a long time for this ruling. He was instrumental in bringing Ed O'Bannon's pleas and antitrust lawsuit against the NCAA to action. So, game players everywhere. You want to hate Ed O'Bannon? That's fine. He was a great player at UCLA. I think he won Player of the Year before getting drafted and heading to the NBA where, it didn't quite work out. So if you're looking for somebody to hate, this individual right here, shoe executive Sonny Vaccaro, he's probably an individual who's looking out more for his interests than that of O'Bannon. They say here he's a shoe executive. So if you have a situation where athletes can profit, couple that with a shoe executive, then if Sonny were still in the business, he's going to be out there hitting up every athlete trying to get them to wear his shoes. All I'm saying is people have their priorities and people have their things that they would get out of this decision. And for somebody like Vaccaro, it would have definitely been monetary. Like I said, had he still been a shoe company executive. So, got to get that cash, baby. This is probably the first smile I've had in a long time, but it's the smile I've wanted to have for a long time, Vaccaro said Monday in an interview with USA Today. I really never ever thought in my lifetime I'd see this happen. This was my ultimate fight. I am very emotional about it, and I feel unbelievably proud and happy for Eddie O'Bannon. I'm ecstatic. I don't understand how somebody could feel happiness for somebody in that regard unless there were some monetary gain for themselves. You know me, just being a little cynical with it. So here's another tweet. Doesn't look like the NCAA's move to allow student athletes to profit from their name, image, and likeness will bring back NCAA football right away. Writes 24/7 sports analyst Chris Hummer. The NCAA did not renew its licensing agreement with EA, and though recent Madden games have featured colleges, EA individually licenses the brands from the schools. There has been little movement towards a new flagship college football game. EA Sports would be open to making the game again, according to former NCAA football executive producer Ben Howmiller. 24/7 reached out to EA Sports last year for the latest on where game developers are in the process and the likelihood it ever happens. We love making college football games, Howmiller told 24/7 Sports via email. If the opportunity ever presented itself, we'd be very interested in potentially getting back into that space. I'll just wrap it up here. I did scan the article. I'll archive it so you can read some more if you want, and I'll scroll some while I'm giving my thoughts, but I wanted to read this real quick because he's one of my favorite players when he was in college, and that was Shoelace Denard Robinson from Michigan. So it says here, Denard from the University of Michigan, a quarterback who appeared on the NCAA 14 cover. He says he'd love to see the game return. He'd be willing to bet current and former players would welcome NCAA football on various consoles without being paid for it, too. I definitely would like to see it come back, Robinson told 24/7 Sports during an interview with Chris Hummer in 2019. If they were to do a poll and asked kids if they want to be on NCAA football and if they want to bring NCAA back, a lot of kids would say yes, although they wouldn't get paid. And that's another side of it too, right? The licenses with the college, sure, that's one thing. That's a huge thing, I think, just to use Alabama's logo or USC's logo or Ohio State's logo, Texas's logo, Clemson, LSU. Sorry, I neglected to talk about you guys in the first part of the story. Definitely should have put you guys in there. Definitely both are elite brands in college football. So apologies to Tiger fans everywhere. And I really enjoyed LSU and Burrow getting up in that ass in the title game. So sorry, Clemson fans, you won enough lately. So let someone else have one. Yeah, so that does raise something interesting, and getting the licensing from teams, like I said, that's one thing, but then individually, how do you go player by player, right? I'm sure there's a lot of guys that aren't starters. And I'm just trying to think this through on the fly here. A lot of guys that maybe aren't starters or lesser known guys or guys that are just fans of the game who grew up playing it when they were, obviously it's been gone for 7 years now, but grew up playing it when they were 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, that they'd love to see themselves in the game, right? And maybe a large chunk of those guys would be willing to forego any monetary compensation to allow their likeness and image to be used in the game. On the other hand, you're going to have individuals like Vaccaro out there, and this is something that just came to mind. Individuals, these athletes, now that they can go ahead and get compensated, that would obviously mean now they can go ahead and get an agent right when they get into college. Now, there'll be individuals who may want to go ahead and allow NCAA to use their likeness within the game for free, but assuming they have representation, that individual would be in their ear telling them not to do it unless there's something monetary involved. And that's because that's how they earn their income, right? Somebody's representing you, somebody's out there trying to get you endorsements and sponsored tweets and posts and shoe deals with crooks like certain individuals. Their job is to get you more deals so they make you money and in turn make themselves more money. Totally understandable, and I totally get that. So good for them. So they would be in the individual's ear saying, hey, I know it's for a good cause. I know that children's hospital wants you to do a brief spot to try to get them some donations, even though it would look good for your image. Trevor Lawrence, we'll just use him since he's going to be coming back for his junior year at Clemson. Go ahead and do that children's fundraiser out in front of that children's hospital. Go ahead and help them raise $1 million for that local hospital there in the Clemson area. But make sure you ask them for a $50,000 appearance fee to do that. I definitely could see something like that happening where, like I said, the agent's kind of in their ear all the time and saying, hey, whatever you do, make sure there's money involved. And again, like I said, that's their job. And now as the player, now with this ability to earn from their likeness, hey, I get it too. There aren't going to be those opportunities. Sure, Trevor Lawrence, he'll probably be a top 2, top 3 pick. I like Justin Fields a little bit more at Ohio State, but that's just me. If I were picking number 1 overall, at this point, I'd probably have Fields over Trevor Lawrence, but they both look dynamite in college, trust me. Like how they look right now, if I were sitting at 1 or 2 and I needed a quarterback next year in the 2021 draft, I'd be happy with either of them, believe me. But those opportunities aren't going to be there for everybody. Everybody's not a Justin Fields. Everybody's not a Trevor Lawrence. There's very few of those guys that are going to be able to monetize big time on their names while in college. So for those lesser individuals, like I said, the third string long snapper or that freshman walk-on linebacker, how's he going to monetize off his likeness, right? So for somebody like him, even though he might want to be in the game, he might say, hey man, I need $500 because times are a little hard. So I don't know. I just don't see it coming back. But for me, I don't really care because I have a feeling that lawyers and lawsuits and stuff like that will always find ways to ruin the fun for everybody. And I get it from the player's perspective. But like I said, even after this, it'll be smooth sailing for a few years with this ruling. And, and that'll be great. But give an inch, take a mile, right? And it won't even be the players necessarily. It'll probably be some lawyer or somebody in his ear saying you deserve more. We should go ahead and file another class action lawsuit. Or there'll be some kind of thing where females seeing Trevor Lawrence getting his $50,000 appearance fee or his $10,000 Instagram post will start talking about the patriarchy and inequality and sexism and then racism and all that other stuff. So though I don't care either way about this move, I really see it kind of opening a Pandora's box because Title IX, equality, equity, all of that stuff, everybody likes to think that they are equal. And when you have a big-time quarterback at a big-time college like Fields or Trevor Lawrence versus the girl playing badminton at a lower-tier college versus the girl playing on the badminton team at a lower-tier college that's got a really terrible badminton team, and she's expecting Trevor Lawrence money, who's to say she doesn't file a lawsuit, right? Who's to say her team doesn't file a lawsuit on behalf of females everywhere? Hey, we deserve more money. We deserve equal money to these guys, even though football and in some cases basketball is producing the revenue that allows these sports to even exist. So it's kind of like the women's soccer and the men's soccer thing, right? Everybody's supposed to be equal, 50-50. So again, I don't really care too much about it. I can just pop in the old game when I need to and get some updated rosters online for free, so I'm good. But again, like I said, I can see this kind of opening a Pandora's box when certain individuals decide they want to file their own lawsuit because of equality. Anyway, I don't know if there's any NCAA 14 fans out there watching this, but What do you guys think? Let me know. And are you still keeping the game alive? I don't even know if they do the updated rosters anymore. I'd imagine they do. They were doing them as of a couple years ago, but I haven't picked the game up since probably 2016, 2017 or so. So let me know if they're still doing those roster updates. So I might have to check that out later in the summer. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching.